If you're watching this, why are you so obsessed with me? Jeez, get a life.
The monster's gone, he's on the run, and your daddy's here. I'm holding on.
All three of us were drowning, and we didn't know how to save each other, but there was an understanding that we were all drowning together.
September 9, 2001. Gary and I were skating at a hospital on top of a huge hill over.
And you look stupid going on.
I'm sure we're tolerant.
Oh, mistletoe, I'm so happy I could eat you up. I really could. You know what's a...
You know the worst part? I knew this was gonna happen, and I let myself get excited anyway.
No, it's for the better. No, it's for the better. No, it's for... No, it's for the better. No, it's for the better. I've been holding my breath, I've been hoping you couldn't tell. He was stealing my spark, walking me straight through hell. Shows that we ain't gonna stand shit. Shows that we are united. Shows that we ain't gonna take it. Shows that we ain't...
I got the lovebirds chirping at the window, but I don't need love.
I don't chase, I attract. What's meant for me will simply find me.
And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like I love you.
Oh, I tried to kill myself when I was 14. Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you
no.
can. It's a safe space with me. I ain't gonna.
He needs me, he needs me, he needs me, he needs me.
In a coffin, pop 20 pills, hope nobody stops it. When I die, don't act like it's shocking. Gave you all the signs, now I'm done talking. Kiss me on the mouth and love me like a sailor. Nothing exists, that's the windowsill, it's nothing new.
Maybe there is something wrong with me, but like I said, I'm really happy with who I am, and I know my intentions in my heart, so I'm
And if in some distant place in the future we see each other in our new lives, I'll smile at you with joy and remember how we spent a summer beneath the trees.
Oh, did you know that I think of you and me?
First I was rushing away.
A drink you spilled all over me. Your new girl is my clone. don't seem to understand. A shame you seem. All you do is give.
I want more. I don't mind spending.
What was the best day of your life?
Say, wait, baby, look me like I know. Wait.
Even if my heart stops beating, you're the only thing I need. With me.
You know what sucks more than anything?
Tell me.
I need it to stop.
What to stop?
I need everything to stop.
Kind of hate most things, but I never really seem to hate you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. So
Take my breath away.
So pack up your car, put a hand in your heart, say whatever you feel.
He needs me, 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 he needs me.
I want to be where you are right now. Whether you're with friends or if you're alone, if you're in class or an apartment, I just want to be around you all the time. Know where you are all the time. I want to exist in the same space you exist, live in the air you do. I want to share our breath, even if only a little bit. I want to live in your life, even if only from the side.
If your feelings come back the minute you see me, hope it hurts, hope it burns, hope you'll finally grieve me. 'Cause I knew this would happen. Wore my favorite outfit, so you see what you're missing. Live and in action.
Bojack,
Yeah.
are we friends?
Yeah. I mean, I think we are. Or I think we can be.
Okay, then as a friend, I'm asking you, please don't leave me.
I'm doing this for both of us, you understand?
Did you ever love me at all?
I don't, I'm not... You know that I don't do the whole love thing. Either you end up hurting someone or they hurt you, so what's the point? But you're here.
If the world was all gathered and asked to agree on the most common problem, they'd all point to me. If the people who hurt me the most in this life had to fact check their words, it turns out they were right. And I know perseverance, but right now I don't wanna fight. 'Cause I feel like I'm nothing but an arm that's worth cutting tonight.
This was Saga, bitch.
Pressure in the rightest way, looking like do the things you said you do to me, to me. Oh, won't you kiss me on the mouth and love me like a sailor? And when you get a taste, can you tell me what's my flavor? I don't believe in God, but I believe that you're my savior. My mom says that she's worried, but I'm covered in this favor.
Why am I so easy to leave? Do I have a sign taped to my back that says throw away after used? Was the pinky promise you gave me some fucked up language for I'll love you today but leave you tomorrow? Did I miss the fine print when you whispered forever? Was there an asterisk on your I love yous, a hidden clause somewhere between your lips and mine? Why am I so easy to forget? Am I the in-between, the filler in your story, a bookmark for someone better? Or am I just a hopeless romantic who got it all twisted, planting roots in the people I love, and letting them take pieces of me when they walk out the door? Why am I the one who stays, holding on to fragments of love like souvenirs from a place I can never return to? Is it my fault for believing in forever when all I've ever known are goodbyes? I wonder if I'm too easy to walk away from because I make it easy. I open the door for them and I stand there watching, hoping they'll turn around, even though I know they never will. I guess I'm tired of being the one who gets left behind, of being the girl who loves too deeply. Maybe it's time to stop giving pieces of myself to those who never plan to stay, and start keeping some for me.
Anyone can take one single look at me and instantly know that my room is a disaster. I literally look like that kind of person. Like, you know, damn bitch, you live like that? Yes, I do. And that is why, let me tell you, I have never been more excited about a vacuum cleaner in my entire life. Starting with the most important part, it's pink. Like, what? I've already used it a bit, but only downstairs because I wanted to leave my room to show you guys. But I already love the fact that it's cordless, so I'm not like always tripping over it. It's really lightweight, like I'm literally holding it with one hand right now. It comes with these two attachments for getting to small places, and even a little thing to hang it up on the wall. It's also usually $400, and right now it's $90 because of the Black Friday sale, so... But enough yapping, I'm gonna show you how it works. Obviously you turn it on, and then it has 3 settings, so there's this one. Can't see it very well, so I'm just gonna put some dirt on my floor. I have a lot of plants in my room, so this is not the craziest thing that's been on my floor. I'm gonna start with the lowest setting. Oh my god. That's insane. I didn't even know it could do that. Oh my... Bro. I thought I'd at least have to turn it up a little higher, but like, might as well just... Whole thing. Take 2. Dude. It didn't pick up those pieces because they're like literally clumps, but like, I think you get the idea. It's literally like $90 until Black Friday. Take advantage of it while you can.
Try to call on him, cause my mom says I've got favor. And when I'm wicked and dirty, I forget all that is wrong. I see it so I can see you, cause I hate to wait so long.
Every case that I talk about is horrible, don't get me wrong, but there's something so hard for some reason for me to talk about when I'm talking about victims that are my age or have a lot of similarities with me. I don't know, it's just hard to remember that this can really happen to just anyone. I need to make a beverage before we start. Okay, now we can start. Brianna Dennison was a 19-year-old college student who was abducted on January 20th of 2008 from a friend's house after a night out. This case takes place in Reno, Nevada. Brianna went by Bree. She was the firstborn to parents Jeff and Bridget. She also had a little brother. The family grew up in Nevada, from all accounts, a very loving, close family. However, when Bree was only 6 years old, she tragically lost her father. That was really hard on the family. It was an unexpected death. It brought Bree, her brother, and her mother to be closer than ever. After high school, Bree enrolled in Santa Barbara City College in California. She would be studying psychology. While at school, Bree kept the effort to talk to her mother and her brother as much as possible. She would call them often just to stay in touch. She was enjoying her time at school. She made friends very quickly. She was a social butterfly. She always made everyone around her feel comfortable. She was always laughing or smiling and would go out of her way to be kind to anyone that she met. January 19th in 2008, Bree was home in Reno for winter break, and she had plans to go out with all of her high school friends. While they were all in town, Bree made plans with one of her closest friends to drive over to their friend's Katie's house. Since Katie lived closer to where they had plans to go, Katie lived in a house with roommates. They all met up. They went out. One of the girls, Jessica, went back to Katie's house earlier because she had to be up early the next morning. Bree and Katie stayed out a little bit longer. They got food. They got a ride back home from some of their guy friends around 4 a.m. The guys stayed to watch to make sure the girls went inside, and once they did, they left. Bree and Katie hung out for a little bit, and before going to bed, Bree wanted to call her boyfriend, so she thought she should just sleep in the living room so she wouldn't bother anyone else while on the phone. Katie gave Bree blankets and pillows, and they said goodnight. The next morning, some of the girls woke up. They started making breakfast. The kitchen was right next to the living room, and they don't see Bree on the couch, but they assume that she probably moved upstairs so she could sleep in a little bit longer. Her belongings were still there, her cell phone, her purse, her clothing, so she was probably sleeping upstairs. Around 9:45 in the morning, Katie starts to get surprised that Bree isn't awake yet. She goes upstairs. She starts opening doors to all the bedrooms to see where Bree fell asleep, but Bree wasn't there. Katie immediately called Bree's mom to let her know that they couldn't find her. Her mom was obviously concerned. She started driving towards the house, and shortly after that phone call, Katie called Bree's mom again. Katie called back because they found a stain on the pillow on the couch, the pillow that she had given Bree to sleep with. Both Katie and Bree's mom were both extremely concerned now because that stain looked like it could have been blood. Panic sets in for both Bree's mom and all of her friends. After hanging up with her mom, Katie immediately called 911. Officers arrived at the scene. At first glance, the house looked normal, everything except for that one pillow. That one pillow that had not only one but 3 bloodstains on it. When taking a closer look at that pillow, the pillow also had bite marks, what seemed to be saliva, and smeared mascara. Everything on that pillow was alarming, and Brianna Dennison was officially now a missing person that they suspected had been abducted from inside the house. The police began their investigation. They swabbed the back door to see if they could find any suspicious DNA on the door handle. They were able to confirm that the stains on the pillows were Bree's blood. They started talking to witnesses, gathering surveillance camera footage, basically retracing Bree's steps from the night before, but all of her friends, the girls and the guys that gave them a ride home that night, as well as her boyfriend, everyone close to her was cleared as a suspect. But who would do this and why? The search grew quickly and the FBI got involved. There were thousands of leads coming in, and every single one of those was followed up on. Hundreds of volunteers willing to help. They were searching mountains, body of water, secluded areas, anywhere and everywhere, but they did not get anything. The police started looking into previous SA attacks in that area that had taken place within the recent months. They focused in specifically on a victim that had been SA'd in a parking lot months prior. She had been attacked in a horrific way, but she was luckily able to report the attack, and she got an exam done that revealed unknown male DNA on her. Although that victim did not see the face of her attacker, they did have his DNA. Investigators were also able to find unknown male DNA at Katie's house, and when they tested them together, they were a match. When the news was made public that they had this unknown male DNA, another victim who had not reported her incident prior came forward, and she said that a very similar thing happened to her. She was able to give a brief description of the attacker, but still they could not identify who this person was. They had DNA, they had a description, but they still did not have a name. As the case progressed, the family held on to hope. Bree's mom and her little brother were doing their best to support each other, as well as her boyfriend and all of her friends. They were doing what they could to try and stay strong and keep the hope alive. Unfortunately, on February 15th of 2008, their worst nightmares came true, and the family and friends were left absolutely heartbroken. A man was walking back from his lunch break when he took a shortcut through a field. As he was walking through the field, he noticed a bright orange colored fabric in between some trees. When he got closer, he realized that that fabric came from socks, and those socks were on feet. Initially, he thought that it could have been a mannequin because what else would it be? But soon he realized it was the body of a deceased young girl. He called the Reno police as fast as he could, and they rushed to the scene where they confirmed that that body was the body of 19-year-old Brianna Dennison. The autopsy autopsy revealed that Brianna's cause of death was strangulation. There were bruises all over her neck and throughout her body. 10 months passed after Brianna's death when police finally received a tip that would lead somewhere. The tip came from an anonymous girl. She was reporting that her friend had recently told her that she had found girls' clothing in her boyfriend's truck. I know that's a little bit confusing. A girl found female clothing in her boyfriend's truck and she told her friend about it, and the friend is who called the police. That boyfriend was 28-year-old James Michael Bila. James was an ex-Marine. He was a father to a 4-year-old little boy and he lived with his girlfriend. Police reached out to James to see if he would be willing to give a DNA sample, but he said no. He told officers that they could just talk to his girlfriend and that his girlfriend would confirm that he had an alibi for the day that Bree was abducted. Thankfully, literally thank the heavens for this girl, the girlfriend did not do that. When asked, she told officers that she could not confirm that she had an alibi for James that day. Not only that, but she also told them that she was suspicious of James, her boyfriend. She said something was off and she gave them James's DNA. And what do you know? It was a match to the male DNA found at the scene of the crime. With that information, on Tuesday, November 12, 2008, James Michael Bila was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, as well as first-degree kidnapping and SA. He was additionally charged with the SA of those 2 previous victims that had came forward. When James was taken into custody, they allowed his girlfriend to talk to him, and that conversation is honestly heartbreaking. I mean, of course, this was her boyfriend. This was the man that she loved, the father to her child. She is yelling at him, asking him, why did you do this? Why did you do this? In tears. I honestly cannot even imagine what she must have been thinking. It makes me sick. On June 2nd of 2010, James Michael Bila was found guilty on all counts. Guilty of the murder of Brianna Dennison, guilty of kidnapping, guilty of SA, and his defense team was trying to argue against the death penalty, claiming that he should not receive the death penalty because he had a tough childhood. Cry me a river, James. The jury saw the nature of his crimes and they ruled that he should be given the death sentence. On July 31st of 2010, the judge sentenced James to 4 additional life sentences for multiple counts of SA and kidnapping associated with those 2 prior victims that had came forward. To this day, he remains on death row. I couldn't find anything. I don't think that he's been given an execution date yet. That's all I have on the story of Brianna Dennison, but it is really just the most shocking reminder that this could really happen to anyone. Abducted from her friend's house. She did everything right. She stayed with her friend. She got a safe ride back home and then was taken from the couch. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Terrible, terrible story. So upsetting. And a big, big reminder to be aware of your surroundings because there are people that are just straight evil out there and it makes me ill. Be safe out there. I hope you guys are having the best day. If not, go do something to make the best day, make somebody happy. And I will see you in my next video. Massive kiss on the forehead to every single one of you.
How is that possible?
How could her body have ended up in the Everglades, but there's no footage of her ever leaving the hotel? This case is terrible from the beginning. On an early morning in February in Miami, it is a chilly day and a woman is found face down floating in the tall grass and mud of the Everglades. Someone comes across the body and immediately assumes she's dead. Her long hair is floating there. She's face down. How could she not be dead? But they still check on her, and to their surprise, she is alive, barely clinging to life. So the police are called and they immediately medevac her. When she wakes up in the hospital, she barely remembers a thing, but there is a ton of physical evidence. She is badly beaten. It was obviously SA'd and raped. There is male DNA, if you know what I mean, on her body. She has severe brain and head trauma. Her bones over her right eye are fractured and broken completely. She had a thick accent and spoke in broken English. It clearly wasn't her first language, and so it's kind of hard sometimes for them to understand her. But essentially she says that she barely remembers anything, and everything that she does remember is kind of fuzzy. She says that she remembers someone, maybe 2 or 3 white men, breaking into her room, shoving a pillow on her face, making her drink something. She doesn't remember seeing them, but she remembers tasting something like strong alcoholic. And then she kind of remembers being slung over someone's shoulder and carried downstairs. And then at some point she remembers being in a car, and in the car she was violated and harassed, and she remembers pleading for her life. But what she's remembering is in bits and pieces, and it's really hard for her to give any sort of leading evidence or anything that could identify who really did this. So detectives learned that this girl had been living at the airport hotel for months. It was only 8 miles from where she was found floating. The reason she was at the hotel is because she worked for a cruise line. While she was on the job, she got injured. So while she was healing, the job had put her up in a hotel. The police look at her room for evidence. They look at surveillance footage and they interview staff. And the hotel had almost 200 300 rooms and it was very busy, so it was hard to really get any leads. Her and her lawyer end up suing the hotel for negligence, and they end up hiring a private detective named Ken Brennan to find out what happened because the police at this point were not being very helpful. So Ken Brennan is now involved and he gets with the lead detective on the case. His name is Alan Foote. And so Ken and Alan are talking and Ken is like, I'm not going to get in your way, but I'm going to figure out what happened and I will go through you. I'll make sure that everything I'm doing, since I'm technically not a police officer, I'm just a PI, I will make sure everything I'm doing goes through you. And if I have anything, you can make the arrest. I'm not going to get in your way, but I'm figuring this out. And Detective Alan Foote, he was pretty helpful, like he was interested in the case, but at some point when a case dries up and there's no leads, he does have to move on to other cases. So he tells him, go ahead, he gives him some evidence and like gives him some of the files, but he says, I can't keep helping you, like I have to move on to new things. So Ken looks into this case and he is looking at the hotel security system. It was pretty extensive. There was 2 security guards on duty at all times. The back doors were locked at night and each exit had a security camera. There was also one at the front entrance, one at the lobby elevator, and then more at the parking and the pool. Plus, all the guests had digital key cards, so you could see the timestamps of when they like swiped it to get into their room. So on the morning of her assault, he wanted to figure out where she had been. So at 3:41 a.m., we see that she checked into her room using her key card, and then she was found about 3 hours later in the Everglades. So we have this 3-hour mystery window that we don't know what happened to her. So he uses the security cameras to try to figure it out. We know that she met up with a friend for dinner and got back around midnight, and then between the hours of midnight and 3, she was doing some stuff. And then at about 3 a.m., she left the hotel. We see it on the security footage, walked across the street to a gas station to get a phone card so that she could call her mom in Ukraine. She gets back, we see her on the security footage walking back into the lobby around 3:40, and she gets on the elevator around 3:41, and we see her talking to another individual, just a random guy, and then they both go up in the elevator. She swipes the time card to get into her room, and we see that she entered around 3:41. So now Ken Brennan goes to look at the footage and is trying to figure out how she ended up going from her room at 3:41 and leaving the hotel. And when he is looking at the footage, there is literally no evidence that she ever left. Like, she is not on a single frame, and she would have been if she left, if she walked out the door, if she was carried out, you would have seen her on the footage. So somehow this woman went from being in a room at 3:41 to the Everglades at around 7 a.m. and we have no idea how. Zero evidence she left the hotel except for the fact that she was found in the Everglades hours later. So he's looking at the cameras, and to preface, the cameras are used by motion detector. They are not running continuously, but anytime someone moves, even if they move slowly, even if they move like in weird ways or try to get around it, the motion detection will pick it up. They even tried to tamper with the motion detectors to see if you could somehow mess it up, and there's no way that the cameras would not record if someone was moving. So there's no way that someone tampered with the cameras. At first, they think a possibility is that someone dropped her out of the 4-foot story window into the bushes, and that's why she had all the bruises. But when they investigate, the bruises don't line up with that, and the bushes were not like flattened in any way. So they know that isn't the case. And they think maybe she was disguised. So Ken starts looking at all the different footage to try to see if she's disguised, and he starts looking at every single individual on the cameras that day, and there are a lot. There is so much traffic going in and out of this hotel. He starts eliminating anyone with a small bag, anyone who it's clear it couldn't be her disguised, anyone who couldn't be clearly carrying her or disguising her, he rules out. After the most tedious time looking at this footage, he finally has only one guy left, and it is the guy that she is seen chatting with on the elevator for like 2 seconds before they go up to the 4th floor. We see him enter the elevator at 3:41 with the victim. He was a large black man. He was about 6'4" and about 300 pounds. He wore glasses. So we see him enter the elevator at 3:41. And then when they go up to the 4th floor, there's no footage on the hallways or near the rooms. So we don't know where he went. He could have even gone to another floor. And then we see him exit the elevator and come back down to the lobby 2 hours later at 5:28 a.m. He is unaccompanied, but he is carrying a suitcase. The suitcase is like a rolling suitcase, so he's dragging it behind him, and he looks cool, calm, and collected. And now Ken Brennan is like, crap, because he's the only person left that I haven't ruled out, but he's just carrying a bag, and this bag doesn't look big enough to like fit a person inside of it. And not only that, but he looks so calm. Like, there's no way that this guy is hauling a body in this bag. Fortunately, this guy, he is determined. This PI is determined to figure it out, and he is honed in on this guy. And at first it doesn't make sense, but he starts watching this footage meticulously and is convinced that this is the guy, and he notices something really important in the video. And I'm going to tell you what it is in part 2.
21-year-old Mara Murray disappeared February 9th of 2004. She was here, there was a car crash, and then she was gone. Now it has been over 20 years and we still have no answers. Let me tell you a little bit something about filming in your car. It's not ideal, but it's possible and that's all we need. Maura's disappearance has been cited as the first crime mystery of the social media age. It was in 2004, right before Facebook came about, but let's get into it. Maura was from Hanson, Massachusetts. She was a 4th child to parents Fred and Lori. When she was little, her parents went through a divorce and Maura would spend most of her time at her mother's house. Maura was gifted in both her academics and sports. She excelled in both. She's been described as hilarious, caring, loving, and thoughtful. Maura went missing on Monday, February 9th of 2004. At the time of her disappearance, she was pursuing a nursing career at the University of Massachusetts. Let's talk about a timeline because all of this is very interesting. Just after midnight that Monday, Maura searches for directions between Amherst, Massachusetts and Burlington, Vermont. Around midday, Maura calls a condo to inquire about reserving a condo in Bartlett, New Hampshire. She was presumably looking into booking it to spend some time there. She calls the condo owner, but she doesn't actually book anything. That Monday, Maura sends an email to her professors around 1:24 p.m. to let them know that there had been a death in the family and that she was going to be out for a week and would let them know when she was back. The thing is, there was no death in her family. At 2:05, she calls a hotel in Vermont. She doesn't actually get through to speak to anyone. She just reached a recorded line, but she did call. At 2:18 p.m., she leaves a voicemail for her boyfriend, letting him know that they could talk later. The boyfriend calls back minutes later 3 times, but Maura does not pick up. Some people think it has been reported that Maura packed up all of her stuff in her dorm room, but her family has not confirmed that. They have said that she could still have been unpacking from moving in. There really is no way of knowing if she was packing up her stuff or if she was still just in the process of unpacking. It has also been reported that apparently she printed out an email from her boyfriend saying that the boyfriend had cheated on her and she left it out, but the family has not confirmed that either. They said that yes, there was a printed out email from her boyfriend from 2 years ago, but it was inside a program inside a box. So I'm not sure what to make of that either, but I believe that the family does not think that it was something that Maura left out on purpose to leave some sort of sign. I think she just had that printed out email from a long time ago and it was still in a box. Next, Maura goes to her car. She drives to an ATM. At 3:15 p.m., she withdraws $280, leaving only $16 in her bank account. She drives to a store. She spends $40 there. She gets back in her car and starts driving north. At 4:37 p.m., Maura makes the last phone call that she would ever make. She called to check her voicemail, which back then in 2004, you had to call if you wanted to check her voicemail. So she didn't actually call anyone. She just called to check her missed calls. From 5 to 7:30 p.m., there was no activity on her phone. Just after 7:30 p.m., a woman who lived in the area called to report a car accident that she heard from her house. The car had lost control and slipped off of the road. It was Maura's car. That woman and her husband looked out the same window that night. Initially, the woman said that she thought that she saw a man in the car, but I don't think the husband ever thought that he saw a man in the car, and I think since then the woman has changed her mind and she isn't sure now if she did see a man in the car or not. Soon after that, another local resident, a bus driver, sees the car on the side of the road. The bus driver approached the vehicle where he saw Maura. He described her to be shaken up but not visibly injured. The bus driver tells Maura that he's going to call the police for help. It has been said that Maura asked him to please not call the police. She informed the man that she had already called AAA, and Maura did have a AAA membership. However, there is no record of AAA ever receiving that phone call. Once the bus driver gets back to his house, he calls police anyway. Police arrive at the scene pretty quickly around 7:46 p.m., but when they get there, Maura has disappeared. She is nowhere to be found and her vehicle is locked. There was 2 feet of snow on the ground. It was freezing outside. It was dark. Maura is gone. The car had a damaged bumper. The windshield was cracked and both airbags were out. There were red stains found both inside and outside the car. It was a red liquid, so we think that it may have been wine, indicating that she may have been drinking. It is also believed that Maura took some of her belongings with her, but not all of them, because inside the car were books, gloves, makeup, and jewelry. What she did take, presumably because they have never been found, were items such as her cell phone and her card, debit and credit card. Inside the vehicle were so many things with Maura's name on it. It was easy to identify the driver of the car. However, Maura's family was not notified of her disappearance until that next Tuesday. Authorities got a hold of one of Maura's older sisters, leaving the entire family confused. Why did she leave school? Where was she going? What could she have been doing in that area?
Why did she leave the car there with some of her stuff inside? And most importantly, where is she? Nobody had a clue, and the family was left in a panic and honestly frustrated because the family saw the time between when the car was found to them being notified as a missed opportunity. The first search did not happen until that next Wednesday, 36 hours after Maura had been gone. That time would have been the most crucial time. Most important minutes, the most important hours, the time that would give us the most answers. It seemed like authorities just decided that they thought that Maura left on her own accord, but the family thought otherwise because nothing made sense. Also, another weird thing, when the car was towed, it was taken to the personal garage of the tow truck operator. We don't really know why, but that's weird. 48 hours into the disappearance, Maura's father arrives in the town that she went missing. He heads directly to the police station, expecting to join a search party, expecting for the ball to be rolling, for things to be happening, only to find that the local police station hadn't really done anything at all. Eventually, law enforcement did authorize the search party and search efforts officially began. Tracking dogs were able to track Maura's scent 100 meters down the road, but then eventually lost the scent. Now, Maura disappeared just days after Facebook had launched. The family wanted to take advantage of this new social media to put Maura's name and face out there. And having social media was a great thing because it brought so much awareness and engagement from people who wanted to help, but at the same time, then and even now, as we know, social media can spread a lot of misinformation, a lot of theories that could have the opposite effect on the case. Days passed with no new information. 10 days after the disappearance, the FBI joined the search and it quickly became nationwide. They were searching on foot, on helicopters, with tracking dogs, cadaver dogs, with no luck. On July 1st of 2004, the first search was conducted with no snow on the ground. The search included state troopers, rescue personnel, and volunteers. They were focusing primarily within the radius of the car crash in hopes of finding any signs of Maura, any of her belongings, or anything at all that could point them to where she could be. But absolutely nothing conclusive was found. Days turned into weeks, turned into months, turned into years. Maura Murray went missing in 2004. In February of 2019, 15 years later, cadaver dogs alerted to a house near the crash site, indicating that something was likely buried underneath that house or in that basement. A team of over a dozen authorities went to the house to dig up the area underneath the basement, feet into the ground, and they found absolutely nothing. This was heartbreaking for the family, for Maura's family, for her dad. The dad, you can see the pain in his eyes from years of fighting his hardest to get any sort of closure and of being unsuccessful every single time. That family has done everything, at times even more than authorities. They have put every ounce of energy in their bodies into finding their loved one, and they haven't, and it's devastating. In 2001, human remains were found in Blue Mountain, around 25 miles from where Maura's car was found. The family got hope once again, only to be let down once again, because it ended up leading to nothing. I've heard one of Maura's older sisters, Julie, speak from her point of view, or what she believes is that Maura got into a vehicle, and whoever she got in the vehicle with did her harm. Julie does not think that Maura did anything to harm herself. And the reason why a lot of people don't think that Maura did anything to harm herself was because there's no body. If Maura did something to unalive herself or harm herself, surely after 20 years there would be something, some sort of sign. Her sister Julie has said, quote, "I do believe the case is solvable. We just need the few puzzle pieces that are missing." Maura's father has said time and time again, quote, "We will be taking you home soon, kid. I say it all the time and I mean it every time." There are so many theories and so many different opinions on this case. I want to know what you guys have to say. I mean, it really is just the most bizarre thing to me when someone goes missing. I have said this before, but think about the amount of people there are in the world. Again, how can not one person know something? Somebody knows something. Just recently, Maura's sister Julie has started a podcast. It's called Media Pressure, The Untold Story of Maura Murray. Julie takes control of the narrative and she breaks down the case from her perspective. Great podcast, but it is really sad to hear Maura's family speak. I mean, it's the most heartbreaking thing. I want to know what information you guys have read, what you believe to be true or not true. Let me know what you think. I love you all very, very much. I hope you're having the best day. If not, go do something to make it the best day. I will see you in my next video. Thank you for spending time with me today and for listening to Maura's story. Massive kiss on the forehead to every single one of you.